Hey everybody, Vince McIntyre here, otherwise known as Nightshade Witchlight. Um, just giving you kind of a video update of how our new RV life is going. We're really adjusting well to it. I've grown up on sailboats all my life. I'm used to compact spaces, dancing around each other and whatnot. Melanie is adapted very well, surprisingly well, in fact, to a downsized lifestyle. Obviously, anyone who is a full-time RV person knows that unless you have one of these epically beautiful RVs, the posh interior and all that, you know that you don't have all the amenities of home in something you're full-timing in, unless you have that kind of money to have that epic RV with washer and dryer and all that crazy shit in there. We're not those people. We don't have that kind of money, and so we're doing what we can. We own a 1986 Winnebago Lasharo. We had originally bought a 85 Winnebago Custom. Turned out it needed too much work on it, things that I had no idea how to do. And I'm not an extremely well educated man per se, but I know how to do shit, and so you do what you do. This thing needed way too much work. I turned around and was able to flip it for $600. Only paid $200 for it, which was great. Flipped it for $600. We turned around and on the next street over from where we're docked at, there was this little Lasharo. I just randomly knocked on the door and said, "Hey, is that for sale?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how much do you want for it?" They said, $1,200. I walked away with the thing for $1,150. I'm happy. The Lasharo's in pretty much perfect condition. I wouldn't say mint because, you know, she's old. She's got some scratches and some things, some minor repairs that need to be made. We haven't pulled away from space dock yet. Those of you that know the Lasharo and know Star Trek know why I say space dock, because the Lasharo happens to look like the shuttlecrafts from Star Trek. Any of you that have ever owned a Lasharo or know the Lasharo, go ahead and look at a picture of a Lasharo, and you'll definitely see the shuttlecraft. We don't wear red shirts in the shuttlecraft, by the way. Pardon me. All bullshit aside, I've made some minor modifications to the Lasharo. The place that I'm sitting at now were conversion seats. I have taken those out. Granted, this has devalued the Lasharo if I ever want to remarket it. Not really looking to remarket it. I love this little thing. I've taken those seats out. I've put it with replaced it with a full-time bed. Excuse me, I'm stoned. I stutter sometimes. I've replaced it with a full-time bed, which, while I'm talking about it, I might as well, show you the bed. So, anybody that knows the Lasharo knows that back here would normally be two conversion seats that convert down into a bed. Okay? Well, I found a problem with this. Sorry about my bad camera work, folks. I will work on that in the future videos. Anyway, I found a problem with this because those are very uncomfortable seats to sleep on. There is a steel bar, there's steel bars, steel framing, period, obviously, for anyone who's ever investigated the Lasharo seats. The steel framing, it's just hell to sleep on, full time. The Lasharo, I'm believing, is more of a weekend warriors RV. We're making it into a home. No big deal. Watch my dad do this crap for years, okay? My father would buy something like a 27-foot sailboat and modify it for 3 people and a dog to live in, or 3 people and a cat to live, and a couple of cats to live in. Very brilliant builder, incredibly brilliant builder. He bought a 41-foot Warham model catamaran, for those of you that may know anything about boats. And well, he turned it into like a 2-story freaking sailboat that actually functionally sailed. I was right there. I grew up watching him build it, helping him build it sometimes. So I learned how to modify crap from my dad. That's a great gift he gave me. I am the master of jerry-rig. My dad is the grandfather of it. So anyway, sorry, I meandered. But back to the bed. The bed we bought, I put plywood down. I put, after taking the seats out, I made ribs, made a frame across the already existing woodwork that was there. Then I got some plywood, split it into two. I had it cut into 2 pieces. The measurements for this bed on the Lasharo, this bedding area on the Lasharo, are 74 inches by 4 feet. 4 feet wide, 74 inches long. So I had a piece of wood cut to that, and then I had that piece of wood cut in half. The reason I had this cut in half is because again, those of you that know the Lasharo know that there's a panel box right below me where your feet would go when the thing is converted. It's a breaker box for when you pull away. I wanted access to this without a problem, with as little as a few screws being pulled. So underneath the mattress, the bed top, we have hatches that I pop a couple of screws, and I suddenly have access to all the guts that are on the underside of this bed. Convenient, very convenient. In my modifications, I did things that were a little more practical for living in such a small thing full time. For instance, I've also installed this shelving right here. Okay, now this is the foot of our bed. Okay, as you can see, I've got a flat screen TV up there. Now, I only have a TV up there because I'm docked right now, and if I'm docked and I have the luxury of cable, I'm gonna have cable. But you know, framed that in nicely. It's supported. When we're away from the dock, that shelf, the TV will come down and it will house both of our laptops for when we want to, hey, we're away from the dock and we want to watch a movie or something like that. Laptops are charged. We either pop in a DVD or we freaking do some Netflix or do some YouTube. YouTube has fascinating free movies, by the way. Anyway, there's a lot of entertainment you can find for free. Otherwise, being a full-time RV person, RV life, grab a good book, okay? Listen to some music, grab a good book. Isn't this what this is all about anyway? Okay, this is all about breaking away from the technology, the norm. I'm sitting here making a video with a computer, but come on, you can't be in the dark ages again. Or could you? So, that's 2 modifications we've made. Again, these modifications were made on the basis of our first week in here, we found out what was going to work and what wasn't. On the Lasharo, behind the cockpit seats, the driver and passenger seats, customly or standardly, there was a second conversion bed in there. We've taken that out as well. What I've done is I've put more storage space. This is the front. This is looking up toward the front. I've added more storage space. My clothes easily sit on these shelves and nothing comes apart and falls down when we're underway. Something like that, stereo, light, and fan, that all, of course, gets secured, just like you would secure in a boat or anything that's moving. What I did on the driver's side here is pulled that seat out, and I installed a... This is going to sound really strange. I took that seat out and I used an old baby changing table. Any of you parents out there recognize such thing? Okay. Now, this was rather convenient because what it did for us is it allowed us more storage space. Again, the Lasharo models have little to no applicable storage space. Again, it's made for the weekend warrior. We've turned it into a home. So what I did was I modified this. I just saw the legs off of the old baby changing table, and now we've got 2 full shelves, one for my wife and one for me, and a place for our sweet kitty Magic. Oh, sorry about that. Wasn't looking at the cam. You know, food and water there, and she's even got her little bed. So that's those are the modifications we've made. Again, we have adapted quite well to this. I expect more modifications in the future as we get going. The biggest test for us. Excuse me, I've lost my lighter. Hold on. You know, this isn't a very organized video, is it? Anyway, the biggest test that's going to be for us is when we pull away from Space Dock here, and we go park. That's going to be the biggest test for us because, no, we're not going to have plug-and-play power. We're going to have to learn to manage how often we use our laptops so we have battery power. I am looking into a small generator to put on the back of the thing to not really power anything, but we want to charge the auxiliary battery. And the generator I'm looking at is about $80, a little Honda, quiet little thing, about the size of a flippin' like an igloo cooler. That'll be enough power to charge my batteries. No, we're not going to have things like refrigeration like we do when we're plugged in, like we do right now. So, no problem. I lived on boats with my family for years without refrigeration. It's called ice. Works well. Dry ice, even better. A little expensive, but I tell you what, if you got a cooler and you take 2 blocks of dry ice from the store, it's going to cost you about $30, depending on where you are. You take a couple blocks of dry ice, and you throw a week's worth of meat in there, you have a freezer. You have fresh meat all week. No big deal. I've done this on camping trips. We've gone completely with nothing but tents, and a single block of dry ice in a little igloo cooler, then your meat stays frozen, and you thaw it out just like you would at home, and you go ahead and cook it. No big deal. So that'll be something that will be a worthy investment in the future. The constant independent refrigeration will be nice. It is nice to have a refrigerator in here for when we are docked up somewhere. We don't plan on being docked up anywhere for very long. A, because we don't want to get used to having the constant electricity, having the refrigeration. It's all about, for us, it's all about bugging out and living on our own independently. I have been considering mounting solar panels on, or at least one on the top, so I have a way other than the generator, a secondary way other than the generator to charge my auxiliary batteries. So if any of you out there that have owned Lasharos or full-time RVers and have any opinion on solar panels, please, by all means, feel free to comment and let me know, or private message me. That's fine too. I'm always open to new friends and new friend requests as well. Anyway, off subject. So I'm thinking about solar panels and a generator. That way we have 2 independent ways of at least recharging our batteries. Now, on the road, we really don't need, with a dry ice cooling system, we really don't need any power. We need power for lights. We need the power to run the water pump that allows us to have water, of course, through our plumbing system. But other than that, we really aren't going to need power. What? We fire up the generator, we plug our laptops in and charge them. We charge the auxiliary batteries, we play on the internet for a little while the batteries are being charged, and once everything's charged up, shut it all down, and you got a couple days worth of battery life on your laptop if you're careful with it. To do video updates, check in with family, whatnot. Life on the road, you got to make sure you check in, otherwise people get worried about you. Melanie and I are completely into bugging out. We would really like to get this Lasharo independent enough to go up to the mountains and stay there for a couple of months at a time. With the storage I've added in here, there's plenty of storage to store food and water. The Lasharo has a very small propane tank on it for our stove. That concerns me, but if, we're on the road, like on the road camping and whatnot, up in the mountains, there's nothing that says we can't fire up a flippin' small grill instead of use our propane. I prefer grilling. You go find you some flippin' wood out in the flippin' forest, and you throw it in there, you make yourself a fire, and you grill some steaks or something. Okay? Really, I'm going to find ways for us to cook without using as much of the propane. When Melanie and I go camping, in all our camping adventures, that is the Lasharo clock alarm. The Lasharo has a built-in alarm clock. Anyway, when Melanie and I go on our camping adventures, also we run a page called Washington Forest Dwellers. Check it out sometime, or ask me for the link and I'll send it to you. It's a page with about all of our camping adventures, how we make shelters out of just the forestry that you can sit in a downpour in and you won't get wet. Ideally, Melanie and I would like to really just pack what we can carry and go off into the forest and just not look back. Unfortunately, they call this homelessness in today's society. They call you bums, things like that. So we're doing it a different way. Not that we really give flying crap about what society thinks. It's just this is going to be easy. And we know we're on the right path because everything's come together so easily. The little we have is our little shell here, our little simple possessions that, no, we can't live without clothes and, some form of entertainment also. That's what we have. And we love our life. I personally wouldn't trade my RV life with my wife for... That kind of sounded like some Dr. Seuss shit, didn't it? Anyway, I wouldn't trade my life here in the RV with my wife for anything at all. It's a wonderful life. I've lived this life before, like I said, with my family. My family, we're very nomadic people. I've traveled everywhere with my family from up and down the Florida coast. I've traveled to Cuba on a sailboat, from Cuba to the Caymans, from the Caymans to Cozumel, Mexico, Cancun, Mexico, all on a 27-foot boat. In fact, this is off subject a little too, but years ago when my family and I made the cross from Key West, Florida to Grand Cayman Islands, after we cleared Cuba, we actually got caught in a hurricane. I'm not sure what the category was, but it was Hurricane Allison, and it was somewhere in the 90s. My memory's bad. I smoke a lot of pot, guys. Sorry. It was about 95, 96, maybe even 94. Anyway, we were actually rescued by the Coast Guard. Our boat was towed by a freight ship into Grand Cayman because we were stranded. We were kind of screwed. My dad did a very good captaining job on that. Pretty much terrified of the ocean to this day because of that trip. So I'm doing my nomadic lifestyle on land rather than the ocean as my family did. I loved all the good times aboard the sailboats, the thrill of literally sitting in a cockpit of a sailboat with your father in the middle of a fucking ocean hurricane. Excuse my F word. In the middle of an ocean hurricane. That's a thrill that very few are ever going to have in their entire life, and I thank my family for that. Will I ever get on the ocean again? Probably flippin' not. About the best you're going to get me on is a lake. But that's beside the point. Anyway, the RV, what I'm trying to get at is the RV life, the nomadic life, is right up my alley. It seems to be pretty much right up my wife's alley, too, because, we're both people, we don't work. For personal reasons, we can't work. Things that I won't get into. But we have a pretty good life for two people that don't flip and work. We own our own home. After The replacement of our timing belt will actually in our water line. We have a bad water line in the bathroom. After the replacement of those two things, we will be pulling away from the dock, and we will be independent, living exactly what we want to do. This is it, man. This is what we want. We're happy like this, you know. We're not the people that want to be a part of that 9 to 5 society, the quote American dream. Okay, this is our American dream, and we're doing it before the freedoms, the few freedoms our government allow us, go away. It's a shame that you have to pay to get into national parks. Granted, I know the park rangers and stuff, they got to get paid, yada yada, maintenance on stuff, whatever. But it's really a shame that you have to pay to enjoy a natural lifestyle. We refuse to, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing this. We're doing the full-time RV because we're not going to submit to the man. We're not gonna be slaves to the almighty dollar. We've made it this far with no money and no jobs that I know we can make it much further. We have gigs lined up with some of the local farms to where when we're ready to pull away from doggage, we will be going to work for the farms for parking, power, and pay. This works out well because if you're traveling, pardon me, if you're traveling and you're smart about your travels and you're smart about your connections and you build great bridges with people, you can travel the entire country and work a few days here, work a few days there, fill up your tanks, resupply, go on to the next place you want to go visit. Find the locals there. You've got references now. You've worked for, let's say you've worked for 3-4 other farms for parking, power, and pay. They love you to death. Time for you to move on for a little while. But you've got these references, and you've also got places you can always go back to. So say I'm in Spokane, Washington, and I've worked for some people in Portland. You know, I can always go back to Portland if we decide one day, hey, you know what, Portland was pretty cool, let's go back. Alright? We can go back, and we still have these resources. This is called making your own, guys. It doesn't take money it doesn't take mass amounts of money to go live, do the things you want to do, and see the things you want to see, and experience adventures. I learned this from my parents. My parents were broke most of my life, and I've seen all of the Caribbean. I've seen damn near all of the Caribbean before I was even 18. And my parents had shit for money. My dad was a working Joe, just like some of you. Okay? My mom hardly ever worked. My dad brought in the money. And you know what? Psh, man, we had some great times. So, you know, anyone can do it. Anyone can make their own. You can stay off the grid, okay? Out of their respective radar, and you can still find ways to make money and make a living. If you're the type of person that wants the nice fancy car, the nice fancy house, then obviously RV life is not for you. There's a lot of sacrifice in this life. There's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of understanding what kind of things are necessary in your life and what's not necessary. For instance, cable television, satellite. You know, there's people with RVs that's got satellite freaking internet, satellite freaking television. You know, when I'm away from the dock, man, I don't need that. I need to check in once a month. You know what? I'll go park at Safeway flipping parking lot, use their Wi-Fi, update my statuses and update things with family, and I'm good. Shut the laptop down and I'll walk away from the technology. I need some entertainment while I'm away from dock, while we're on the road. You know what? There's these wonderful things out there that people seem to have forgotten about called books. Books are so wonderful. okay? Everything's point and click now, but books. Not a tablet, not an iPad, or whatever the flip the technology is, okay? Not your laptop, but books. Good old-fashioned books. Books and a candle. Okay, well, maybe you don't want to do too many of the candle things in an RV, okay? But, you know, books and a nice soft light, okay? Turn yourself on some nice classical music and lay down with your wife, and each of you curl up with a book. Now that's my idea of entertainment. I use this crap called cable and internet because it's here, and I'm here. But when I'm on the road, you know, we're going to go back to... When you're broken away from those things, your mind gets creative, and you go back to what real entertainment is, working and educating your mind on something. And you know, that's where people in society have dumbed down. Everything's point and click or touch screen this and Google that, and you know, people really don't think for themselves anymore. I mean, they do, and I'm not making an insult to the human race, but yes, I also am. People, they just don't think for themselves much anymore. Common sense is no longer so common. You know, when I was a kid, I'm 35, when I was a kid, they barely even had fucking cell phones come out yet, okay? You needed to make a phone call, you went to the payphone on the street, alright? There was no internet. Well, we had video games and everything like that, obviously. I'm not from the dark ages. But kids went out and played and rode bicycles and you know, played G.I. Joe or something in the forest. You know, now kids plop their ass in front of the internet and, well, whatever. We're not going to really go into that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because it's been long-winded enough. I'm at 26 minutes long on this video, and I'm probably boring the freaking crap out of some of you. I just wanted to share some of our RV life with you for those of you who are interested. I want to give a shout out to the New RVers page, who of which I will be posting this video to begin with. Those of you who want to watch it otherwise and are that doggone interested, and I haven't bored you after the first 10 minutes, are welcome to watch it, comment, and whatever. But with that being said, blessings to all, in love and light. You're all wonderful, beautiful people. May your souls be filled with joy and love. Peace.